Okay, so in previous video, we looked at pyramids of biomass, and today we're going to look at decay and the carbon cycle. Now, the carbon cycle, as it says, is a natural cycle, so we've got to think of it as this kind of cyclic approach. Now, some processes actually add carbon into the system, normally into the air, and some processes take carbon out of the system. So there's this constant adding and taking away, adding and taking away. Of course, we carry out certain activities like burning fossil fuels that can cause an imbalance. We'll get back to that later. So the air is basically made up of a very low amount of carbon dioxide. It's around about 0.04%, although in the ancient past of Earth, it was a much, much higher proportion. Venus, for example, has a massive proportion of carbon dioxide in its atmosphere. That's why it's effectively climate change out of control on Venus. Maybe Earth's going the same way. Now, let's have a look at some of the processes. So plants are very useful because what they do is they take carbon out of the system in photosynthesis. So they absorb carbon dioxide to carry out photosynthesis. So very, very useful, almost like sponges for carbon dioxide. That's why deforestation is so bad. With rising CO2 levels, we're cutting the trees down, so there's less capacity to absorb the CO2. Now, plants absorb the CO2, but animals eat the plants. So what actually happens is the carbon locked up inside the plants in their tissues can then go and be transferred into animals in what we call feeding. So you already can see here that carbon dioxide is being taken out, carbon's being taken out, and it's going back into an animal. Of course, animals, they respire. So if you remember the equation for respiration, carbon dioxide is produced. So that will actually add the carbon back into the system due to respiration. So you can already see this cyclic view. Take away, add, take away, add. Now, all plants and animals eventually die, unfortunately. So when the plants and animals die, we have death. And what happens is we have decay. Now, decay is actually caused by a group of organisms known as decomposers. Things like fungi and bacteria. And what they do is they take advantage of the situation where they break down the decaying matter, the tissue of the animals and plants, and they use it for their survival. What that does then, it adds the carbon back into the system, into the soil, which then plants can reabsorb to support their growth. In terms of human influences, when we burn fossil fuels, such as oil, coal, and gas, that adds a very, very large quantity of CO2 back into the system. And that's what's causing the imbalance. If you take the human away, the human component away, this cycle has been naturally occurring for millions and millions and millions of years, if not billions of years. But you add in the human influence, and that's causing an imbalance, which is why we see these issues we have at the moment with climate change. So a little bit of a geography link there. So the carbon cycle is a cycle. Some processes take carbon out of the system. Some processes add carbon back into the system. We have the influence of the decomposers, and we also have the human influence as well. Thank you.